All right, ladies and gentlemen of the committee. Hate to implore on y'all to have to be here twice in a week for the full committee, but since we're running short on time, I'm going to bring to you today House Bill 544. Been working on this bill for about 4 months now, pretty steady. I'll give y'all a little bit of a background. The COAM industry, that's the coin-operated amusement machines, has a long history in this state. Gosh, ever since there has ever been a coin-operated machine, they've been there, whether it be crane games or the kind of machines you see in convenience stores and restaurants and places like that. The history on this has been interesting. By action of the General Assembly years ago, the definition for gambling was the paying out of cash. And these type of machines, whether the bingo games or whatever it may be, these are the variation of non-cash redemption. And there's the key to a lot of this. Now, I'll tell you how big this industry is in the state. That last year, the industry, after it was placed under the Lottery Commission a few years ago for regulatory and administration purposes, last year the audit numbers came that COAM machines raised $91 million that went into the lottery for students. That's pretty powerful numbers. Not quite, well, roughly 10%, maybe a little bit less than 10% of the total revenue that's gone to the Lottery Commission. Now, a little bit about the history. There was a dark period in this industry that things got out of hand. You had locations that had sprang up, paying out of cash and things like this back in the 90s. That was dispatched with some fairly strong regulatory laws, and it was basically start all over the industry. Well, that start over has created a lot of good businesses, but there's still some out there that want to use predatory practices, such as inducements and things like that. A lot of that has been done away with, but still there's some of it exist. The Lottery Commission, when this industry was moved under the Lottery Commission, it was a new game for them to do this. And they have a division over there, the COAM division. There's a COAM advisory board appointed by the governor that serves over there with the Lottery Commission, that promulgates rules and regs to be considered for the control of this type of an industry, to keep it clean and something to the benefit of the people of Georgia. That's the short version of everything. Back a few years ago, we piecemeal legislation, and now we have come to the point, for those of you who were on this committee, y'all may remember the lottery oversight meeting that we had in 2019, I believe. We had a full lottery oversight committee meeting, since y'all are members of this committee, and by virtue of that, you're a member of the Lottery Oversight Committee. That we had a lengthy discussion with them about things that could be advantageous to them and to this industry as a whole. One of them was using a gift card. Right now, these machines, they can, any replays or any points that are won or whatever on the Class B machines, those points can be used to trade for things of value within that store. Gas, lottery cards, food, whatever they might have. A lot of times that's in limited supply. And one of the things that we looked at was taking a page out of the playbook of years ago, and that would be to use gift cards. And if y'all remember the discussion from the Lottery Oversight meeting, you know, they were going to do a pilot program. Well, they did it, but they kind of dragged their feet a little bit about it, and they only started it a few months ago. Those of us who've been around understand the importance and what that could do, that possibly these COAM machines, if those people who, their point winnings or whatever, if they had a gift card, it could possibly bring in another additional, who knows, estimated 50 million more money to the lottery. It also has another effect that if they can use a gift card, such as one to a Home Depot gift card, a Walmart gift card, Longhorns. I couldn't even tell you all of the different type of gift cards and things. But there's another secondary revenue enhancement to the state of Georgia, and that's called sales tax. We know that the numbers in the day when gift cards were authorized, that it brought in literally millions of dollars in additional sales tax money that went to the state, and of course it goes to the general fund, which enhances the well-being of the state. Now, that being said, I bring your attention to House Bill 544. 544 is a culmination of a lot of issues that have been looked at. We have consulted with the Lottery Commission. We've amended the bill. We've taken out a couple of issues of contention to them, and I'll briefly go over that with you in a minute. But I want to get into the bill itself, because this bill itself will tell you a lot of stuff about what we're doing about administrative procedures, due process, and the function. That's the right of the machine owners, which are called master licensees, the retailers who have a license, and things like this. So if you look in Section 1, what we are submitting to the legislature, and that's to add 2 additional members to the lottery board, or the lottery commission. The 8th member will be someone that the governor would appoint, since the governor appoints all the members to the lottery commission, that he would appoint a member who would be from that industry, a master license holder, retailer, somebody that would know the business, that could relay firsthand to the lottery commission, so they would have a voice. Second member would be a member who would be whoever the chairperson is at that given time of the COAM Advisory Board. That way they can recommend, they can hopefully weed through the bureaucracy over at the Lottery Commission for the benefit of this industry. Section 2, this codifies case law, that lawful COAMs remain so as long as they're not being used illegally, and that would basically mean the paying out of cash. Also in Section 2, it says that redemption is that if you can redeem it. If you have point winnings or whatever, then if it's a legal product, then you can redeem for those legal products. Section 3 deals with the Class A machines. Now, not to be mistaken with the Class B, but the Class A, these are the things like the crane games and some of those things. Old antiquated law has been there since the 1960s. Said that you could put stuff in there, but it couldn't have a worth of over $5. Most of that's changed by today's standards. We're recommending that it go to a $50 cap, that if they want to put a watch or if they want to put something in that crane game that might be worthwhile, then they can certainly do that. For your information, Louisiana, they allow them to go to $100. Florida's $52, Montana's $50, Washington is $500, and then in the number of states there is no cap. But we're recommending that they go to $50, something more in line with the standards of the day. Section 3 is a definition for a non-cash gift card, which would be available for sale, or it would be available on the premises of the retailer. They could, if they have these gift cards for sale, then those cards could be then exchanged there at that location. Also definitions of the lottery gift card that I'll get into in a minute, but this gives a definition of a lottery gift card. Section 4, it provides for the on-site inspection of the Georgia Lottery Commission's COAM Enforcement Division. And it says that within 6 months of the operation that they have to do a compliance review to be sure that everything is copacetic with those locations, to be sure that everything is as said, such as the 50-50 rule that's in effect and things like that. Section 4, it clarifies the law that the receipt of a gift or a lottery card is an act of in-store redemption, basically that they can redeem them in that store. Section 4 also says that it ensures that the contractual rights are protected once these parties have committed to an agreement. That would be the That would be the contractual agreements between the master licensee that provides the machine and the retailer that puts those machines in their store. In Section 4, it also distinguishes the late fees between an A and a B machine, so that if a COAM machine operator, for whatever reason, is delinquent or whatever on their fees, then they pay a penalty. And I think that penalty, let me look to see, 220. I think that penalty, right, the penalty on a $125 on a Class A, which is your crane games, and a $1,000 penalty, a late fee penalty on a Class B machine. And that's as long as they aren't more than 90 days in arrearage of renewing their license. All right. Section 4 also ensures for an open competitive market. And that would mean that if there is any confiscation or closure or sale of a COAM license or a retailer's license or whatever, that would have to be done by public auction, not by private auction, so that there's transparency and also so there's no backdoor shenanigans either through employees or whatever. So there's nothing wrong with having a public auction so the whole world can see and they can go forth with doing business. Section 5, it sets forth a burden of proof. If there's any investigations or charges made, it just provides a burden of proof that involves a licensee. The same with due process of rights for both masters and location owners on Section 6. But it also says that if there is a suspension while there is an investigation going on, that those fees have to be paid, that the license fees and permit fees have to be continually paid during that process. Section 7, it sets an appellate review standard from the decision of the Lottery Commission and clarifies that it can go on to Superior Court after 30 days, another due process provision to protect these. Section 8 addresses the 50-50 rule. The 50-50 rule, ladies and gentlemen, is to keep these machine casinos from springing up. Was set up years ago, and it was to say that in every location that at least 50% of the gross sales has to come from non-game machines. Has to be a C-store, a restaurant, or something of that nature. And it sets that up, and it also provides that the bar for deciding that would be done on a quarterly basis instead of a monthly basis. Purpose for that is that on certain businesses, instead of just holding to the standard of a monthly fee, that they can average it out over a quarterly basis. So it's for fairness, quite frankly. Section 8 also deals with a carve-out for charitable organizations from the 50-50 rule. Now, I can tell you that once upon a time that you had a lot of the charitable groups of 501c3 organizations, veteran organizations, the American Legion, the VFW, the AMVETS. You got a lot of these charitable organizations that had these machines in their businesses. But when the 50-50 rule came into effect, a lot of those were discounted because they didn't have anything that was a charitable or a veteran or a military or something like that organization. These organizations, as a 501c3, use the proceeds for the benefit of their members, such as a VFW and AMVETS, American Legion. They do programs that go to help worthy veterans who may be in some need, whether it be medical or whatever attention they may need. But it's all governed by the IRS as a charitable organization. So what we have said in this is we're exempting those charitable organizations from the 50-50 rule, but the criteria is that organization has to have a bingo license, which follows the bingo laws, or they've got to have been in existence for at least 10 years. So that would prevent some group from coming in under national charter, setting up shop just to put some machines in. And they'll also be highly scrutinized, just like all these other locations are today. Section 9, it just another issue that sets forth a burden of proof for the COAM division in assessing any violation. They've got to show. You can't just surmise, you have to show proof. Section 10 corrects situations that a location owner can pursue businesses with another vendor, and this sets up that certain rights that they have got to do it on the fair and square. If the existing master doesn't pursue arbitration in this matter. Also in that same section, it provides that the existing contracts for COAMs remain in place as long as those COAMs are utilized at the facility by that same master. And basically it just says that the offering or the receiving of an inducement is not just cause for terminating any contract. That's one of the things that we've always been concerned about the predatory nature of the business. That some of the master's licensees might put inducements out there to try to move locations, and then they become like bargaining chips. But we're looking for stability in this industry. Section 11 reinforces inducements can't be given or receiving again. Section 11 also allows that for the first time we're going to open up a crack a little bit, which would be good marketing, to say that master license holders can provide digital signage at the location under certain specific guidelines set forth by the COAM Advisory Board. This would basically to explain the rules, the regulations, don't think you're going to be paid cash, anything like this. Section 12, another Administrative Procedures Act, coverage for rules and regulations, so they would have to use the Georgia Admin Procedures Act. Section 13, the COAM Advisory Board would adopt rules and regulations in accordance with the Georgia Administrative Procedures Act. Section 14, it sets the date of July the 1st of 2022, a little over a year, for the lottery to create their gift card. Now, they didn't want their feet held to the fire, but what will happen at that time, ladies and gentlemen, they will have finished all of their pilot programs and all of that, and once the lottery has done all of their work and due diligence of putting together a legacy card or something of that type, that would be a lottery gift card. That's when those players could then purchase that card, then points could be added or subtracted. It could be used as any other credit card to trade and to buy merchandise through that credit card. Section 15, this addresses concerns about the appeal process. So that basically if an appellant loses, if all appeals, then that money or anything confiscated goes to the Georgia Lottery. And finally, the appeal provisions of the arbitration awards are clarified and can be clarified by the Business Court of the Superior Court of Fulton County. That, ladies and gentlemen, is what this bill does. And if you have any specific questions on the bill or on the ins and outs of this business, I'll do my best to answer them for you.
Mr. Chairman, are we talking about one card that will be issued by all sites? Gift card? In other words, it will be a uniform gift card, correct?
Are you talking about the lottery gift
Yes,
card?
yes, sir.
What we envision and what we're hoping for is that that the lottery will then put out a gift card. That gift card, and as I understand it, they'll be making both ways on that. One is that you have a gift card that anybody plays the machines, if they win points, it goes on there. then they can take it to the Home Depot or whatever. It's not a single source card. But they also get paid for the use of that card by the merchants.
Yeah, like a 4%.
So that
something like
brings any more.
So it is a uniform card throughout the state?
It is
Okay,
a uniform
good.
card,
Yep.
yes.
All right.
All right. Michael, I'm sorry, is that you? Chairman Collins, was
Yes.
that you?
Yes, I just want to say one thing I really like about Section 7, about the appeals go to the business court of the Superior Court of Fulton County. I think that court is the right venue for these disputes to be heard. They can be settled reasonably with a fair amount of intelligence where business transactions are occurring, so I think that's
Exactly.
a great idea.
Thank you. Further questions from the committee? Ms. Bennett? Speak into that. Number 7? 2? There you go.
Like for you to, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just would like for you to clarify the statement that you just said. I was with you until you said something that the merchant would get paid for the gift card.
No, what I said was, in answer to Representative Hawkins, was when the lottery issues their lottery gift card, they'll also receive on both ends. The player puts it on there and they trade their winnings for whatever merchandise or services. But the lottery under these, what's the word I'm looking for, the type of legacy card, then if they're the issuer of that card, then their contracts would be that they would then get paid a commission off of that,
Okay,
which goes into the lottery funds.
okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Questions? Any questions? As a footnote to this, before I call for a motion, is there anyone that has any questions they'd like to ask about the industry itself that I might can answer? I will tell you that this industry has been tainted at some points of history, but this is a vibrant industry that's providing revenues for the lottery. There was testimony yesterday, and I had to correct some folks. These aren't slot machines because you don't put money in them, and you're not supposed to be paid money. If you're paid money, then that's a felony. That's a felony. There was a question that came up yesterday about from one of the ladies with a certain group, and her comment was about machines in the front of a store that were legal, that were hooked into the Lottery Commission, but backroom machines. Well, my comment to that is that's illegal. Any Class B machine that is not licensed is an illegal machine, and it's a felony. It is a felony. So I've told folks that if you know of any instances of illegal locations that are paying out of cash or whatever, if they can't get to the right person, if they'll contact me, then I'll be glad to turn this over to the enforcement division, because we do not want the paying out of cash, because that's not legal in the state of Georgia until the people of Georgia make that legal. And I doubt they'd be doing it with co-am machines. They'll be doing it with destination resorts or horse racing or sports betting through a constitutional amendment. Questions? If not, what's the pleasure of this committee? We have a motion and we have a second as a committee substitute. And I would also like the committee to entertain one change that needs to be made. And that would be on line 306, that we need to strike the word monthly. Strike the word monthly. Yes, well, we've got a motion and we've got a second on the bill itself. Now we have a motion to amend this. We have a motion. We have a second. Do we have any questions?
Yeah.
Mr. Walensky?
Number 8.
Yes, sir?
Thank you, Chair. All right. By removing monthly, what set time limit are we going to view for their gross retail receipts? Or is that up to the corporation? So are we substituting the word quarterly in, or is that somewhere else?
Mr. Snyder, would you like to explain to Mr. Walensky in your legal terms of why?
Sure. If you look at line 316 and 317, it says the amount of gross receipts for the business
There it is.
shall be measured on a quarterly basis.
There we go. Thank you. That's all, Chair. Thank you.
All right. Mr. Hawkins?
Oh, that was my question too.
All right. All right, we have a motion and a second to amend the substitute. Any other questions? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Now, back to the question at hand, and I would prefer we treat this as a committee substitute. Any questions? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know if we'll have a special meeting tomorrow. We've got a few more bills that are coming out of the committee. And as you know, we're running short time, even though I understand the crossover day has now been set back another day. So we might have a little bit more breathing room by at least one day. So if any of y'all have any bills, then please post haste. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and I appreciate your action.